seen a Mistweaver today. What else have we seen? Discipline Priest, Jungle's winning, so there is some changes. I think anything could
Jungle's
happen.
winning.
I like others like, yeah, new class. This composition that we've seen the whole time. One.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm just saying, all right, things are getting spicy here in Cup 3 and Reload Esports. They could be bringing in a little bit of a surprise. We'll have to see. It does look like, ooh, interesting. So we have Warrior. Blizzo on his Warrior with Mara on his mate. Have we seen this yet? I think we have not.
I don't think we've seen this. And I love to see the Ret Warrior coming out of Reload. I just said the best Ret Warrior in Europe was, Oldness Strikes, and maybe they're about to make me eat my words. I love Asgrath's position, but Mystic does not care. He is running at him. Full Hodge goes out onto Asgrath, and he knows it. He pops that wall. Hex to follow it up, and they're going to swap it back onto somebody else. Fear to follow that up. But they're staying on Asgrath. They're just interrupting him with this CC. But it looks like the Wings, the Divine Toll, Asgrath's going to be fine for now. Now the question is, how is Skill Cap going to turn the momentum around?
They're really just going to tunnel the Paladin. All right, game number 1 is going to be a Zug fest here. Mystic gets stunned up. Oh, huge damage, a huge counterattack. That's going to proc the Reign of Ancient Kings legendary on Mystic. He's not going to have that to rely on in the future to save him. And they're still just running at Asgarath right now. Mercy uses Door of Shadows, Hammer of Justice. Lone Tar hexes the Mage for crowd control. Sky Fury is down to boost up some crits here onto Asgarath. Asgarath tries to trade. Perhaps they've seen that they can run the Paladin out of mana if they just tunnel him down, perhaps trying to punish. There's no elemental shaman, it's just a warrior, so maybe they're just trying to just full YOLO. I think they're finally starting to regret it here with Mystic down at half health, Mercy down at half health, Mystic stunned up, Lone Tar and a Poly, Mercy and a Stormbolt, 3-on-1. Mystic trying to recover, chopping himself here with some Word of Glories, procking another Avenging Wrath. Asgarath is stunned up, goes for a Divine Toll. He's trying to get away from the engagement. He's having a hard time actually getting any distance.
Yeah, I mean, it's really rough. Basically, Lone Tar is just having his way with Maro right now, getting the wind shears, getting the grounding totems, going for hexes. Finally, a full polymorph lands. This is where Mystic's going to be in a lot of trouble. Warbanner a little bit mistimed. Divine Shield. Blizzard gets that off. Trips it off there with the Shattering Throw. Asgarath down a Hammer of Justice, using the Trinket, trying to get away. I like this really aggressive strategy, and I can't help but feel like Skill Cap DU, they picked this composition trying to play into a Warlock, so I don't think this is the matchup that they did want, but still making things happen here. Mystic, 50% health. There's no Divine Shield. Luckily for Reload Esports, Lone Tar still has pretty much everything, but he might have to trade here. Mystic, what is he going to do to survive? Hammer of Justice now on Mystic. Another polymorph on Lone Tar, but Mystic somehow able to hold on right now. There's just not enough damage to really push him over. Shield of Righteousness should be more than enough for him to survive as they get the full Hammer of Justice on Asgarath. This could be the Divine Shield potentially, but just no damage to follow it up. Blizzo is there, but he's taking a little bit of rot damage from that intervene, and now Asgarath's going to have to play catch up.
Yeah, you know what's really nice about playing a Holy Paladin against 2 melee like this is that you can Crusader Strike basically all the time, and your Holy Power generation does go up, but I don't know if it's enough throughput to really deal with this long term, especially as we get deeper into dampening. But Hodge goes out into Mystic, no bubble available to him. That's going to force his Trinket. The Dragon's Breath on the Lone Tar, nothing to follow it up just yet. And whenever you are going up against your opponent's healer and you're just tunneling the healer, it's going to put you in a bad position. And so they better send a thank you card to Lone Tar to dealing with this Mage trying to get polymorphs, but it looks like Lone Tar is controlling the Mage. Full Hex goes out into them, and the onslaught continues onto Asgarath. We are not even close to dampening yet. We still have a couple minutes to dampening, and this could be a long game for Asgarath if they can continue to live there. But maybe it's not going to be a long game at all. That's a Spirit Link. There's no bubble available for Mystic either. The next go could very well be Mystic's life.
All right, let's see if they can stay on target here. There's really not much left for Mystic. That's the double stun lockdown. This could be it. They proc the Reign of Ancient Kings, and they're cutting through it on 1%. He really is going to live. They intervene from Mercy, intervening all the damage to himself from Blizzo. Lone Tar gets interrupted. Mercy is still low on health, but Asgarath now caught in the stun, trying to turn it around, force Divine Shield, but Blizzo just intervenes him. And it's just going to protect them quite easily. They do have a significant mana advantage. Maybe it's time to relax, chill out, get off the healer for a little bit, attack something else. and try and slow down the game a bit, but it seems like they are reluctant at the moment. Mystic has to stay in this earthen wall totem. He can't chase the Paladin. He needs this defense while Lone Tar's in a polymorph. Patiently waiting. Now he's got Shield of Vengeance up. That could explode for a big hit if they're not careful. Hammers down. Stormbolt on Blizzo to prevent the intervene. I like that play. But Maro's in position to get a double Dragon's Breath, slowing down the damage here. Is Azgrath's going to go for a Blessing of Freedom and try and escape the fight here, or just tank them and let Blizzo attack? Lone Tar's interrupted. Mercius Poly. They flip the Poly over. They stun up Mystic. They're blasting him. That Reign of Ancient Kings again. It procs again, buying Mystic more than enough time, I think, to survive. His Divine Shield is coming up in 8 seconds. He just needs to hold strong for a little bit longer. Trying to generate Holy Power. He needs another Word of Glory right now. He goes for a War Stomp. Trying to buy time. Another Word of Glory. Mercy intervenes, but he's still low. Divine Shield comes up right as Lone Tar gets interrupted. Wow. They fear up everybody. They stun Maro. They're still just going after the healer. I've never seen a team do this in a tournament. Just 5 minutes of target the Paladin. Azgrath, man, is just like tanking this like a legend.
Oh, holy cow, Mystic, you're in a lot of trouble. You know, it does go polymorph on a Lone Tar. He's getting low Mercy at the same time. Yeah, thank you. Mystic's still in some trouble. 3% dampening here. They just cannot get on target, and I feel like at this point they need to switch it up. I just don't know if they're going to be allowed to train down Azgrath. The Dragon's Breath Sheeps on Lone Tar have just been so punishing, but they're going for it. They're going for it once again, and we'll see if they can do it. There's really not too many answers. I mean, Azgrath's almost completely tapped on mana. Lone Tar 60% mana, but can he spend the mana? That really is the question. Big intimidating shout coming in. They're trying to buy some time here for their Paladin. Azgrath is in the midfield. Mystic trying to reconnect once again. Mercy's all over him. Lone Tar using that Fleshcraft immunity to crowd control. Pummel on Maro into a full Hex. Maro actually ice blocks it. Dude, he's just going for it. Can he get the polymorph? Windshear, great job there by Lone Tar, denying that crowd control, and that buys Reload Esports some time. But Mystic, he's getting so low. This is the combustion from Maro, so they need to be very careful. Dragon's Breath on Lone Tar, that might be more than enough for them to close it out. Can they get another polymorph? That was a trinket from Lone Tar to keep his team aggressive. Azgrath, he still has a Divine Shield, but he has to be careful. Mercy can get that off with the Shattering Throw, and this is do or die for both these teams.
They're never going to let this Paladin drink ever again. He might have a bubble, but his mana bar is getting lower and lower. Double DB from Maro. He's trying to take control of the game. Avatar's going to get popped out of Mercy. He's still doing huge damn into Azgrath. There's the Hodge. Polymorph goes out into Lone Tar. Mystic has got to be careful here. Blizzo catching the offensive bop, or just the defensive bop even. Mercy's got to be careful now. Almost dropping into execute range. Popping that die by the sword, and they still are on Azgrath behind the pillar, line of sighting their healer. I respect the aggression. I respect. Oh, but this is it for Mercy. Surely that's it. The legendary procs yet again, giving Lone Tar just enough time to get the Spirit Link off. But they don't care. They're aggressive still. They're still running at Azgrath. He has trinket backups too. He still has bubble. And I respect Reload Esports. I respect the dedication. I don't know if this is the right call at this point.
Does he have like a dentist appointment? Like, we got to get out of here, man. Just kill the healer. Like, this is it. I don't got time for this. Like, I don't know what's happening. They're just running at Azgrath. He's completely out of mana. Bubble comes up in 20 seconds. Mystic is finally getting off the Paladin. He's hitting Blizzo, playing at the pillar, but I think he's walking at the Paladin. He's not able to get to the Paladin. Lone Tar goes for Hex. Hex Maro. No way to get out of Hex. I mean, Mercy is soloing Azgrath at 17% dampening. Mystic's going to connect. Is this actually going to work? The pre-shatter gets intervened, I think. At least it didn't go off. Azgrath's Divine Shield is going to stay up. They hammer right after the shield. They're all connected. They're actually going to pull up the Zug Miracle. Rally Cry comes from Blizzo for a moment, but they've got no mana. Azgrath's just working on fumes here, trying to pump out whatever Word of Glory you can get. They're trying to kill Mystic. Mystic has bubble. He's just going to bubble out and kill Azgrath, I think. Azgrath is actually going to die. He's at 1%.
Wow.
Goes down to the Judgment. And today, Zug is the strategy to win. Never detarget the healer. Always kill the healer. I have never seen the team do that in a tournament ever.
I respect it.
Jesus, broken.
That was amazing, dude. I mean, they're behind the pillar. They're like, I don't know. I love it. I love every bit of it.
Oh, my.
Man, I mean, that's one of the things. I mean, we've seen Paladins be able to hold on to mana, but that's when they can drink. And guess when you can never drink? When you have a red and a warrior chasing you for the entire game, 8 minutes straight. You're the target. Azgrath, I mean, that's got to be a very frustrating game for him. eventually, once the Divine Shield fades, Mystic's just like, yep, here it is, the full hammer of justice. You can see Blizzo trying to help him out, but it's too much damage. Asgrath, he's got nothing. He's got no gas left in the tank. Lontar is in a full polymorph here. Mystic gets a little bit low, but still with the Divine Shield available, they managed to do it. They got to that point where they can finally win the game. The hammer comes in from Mystic to close it out. And like I said, I feel like this is not a matchup that they wanted at all. I really feel like for skill-capped EU, they wanted to play into a Warlock, but it was a great read here by the side of Reload Esports, and this puts them in a great position in a series like this where both teams have so many different composition. Winning that blind pick is so important.
I said earlier, there was the best Ret Warrior in EU was Oldness Strikes. Then I also said, probably in the same breath, Skill-Capped EU is the best team in Europe. A Ret Warrior just beat Skill-Capped EU, but like you said, I don't think it was optimal, composition choice. It was the blind pick, and we're gonna see what they're gonna lock in going into game number 2. The one thing I did want to bring up, though, which I thought might be interesting, obviously, before that game started, I would never guess that they're just going to run at the Holy Paladin from start to finish. But if this is their strat and this stays as a consistent pattern of strategy for this team, one talent that Asgrath could run, it actually reduces the cooldown of Crusader Strike, but I think you get rid of Sacred Shield or something pretty big. That might be what they need to generate the Holy Powers to heal through this. Because he was casting in front of those two players is probably not a good idea. It's not a good idea.
Did you flip your hat around, David?
I did. I wanted to tip my hat out of respect for that Ret Paladin Warrior team.
Okay,
I couldn't do it backwards, so
they proved you wrong. So you gotta show the respect.
That one's for you. That one's for you. Not Kara, but Mystic.
I can't help but feel like this is going to a game 5. I think
I wouldn't be surprised.
I think Reload Esports, they can't play this comp into, well, I mean, they have to lock it in blind, but Skill-Capped EU is going to be smiling when they lock in Fire Mage Elemental Shaman. So I think we could just be seeing a back and forth here where the Fire Mage Elemental Shaman is super solid into the Ret Warrior, and the Ret Warrior is super solid into the Warrior Fire Mage. But I don't know. I wonder why Skill-Capped EU locked in Blizzo on the Warrior. This is my biggest criticism of Skill-Capped EU is they don't just play Ellie Mage every game. Because they win every game they play it. I've never seen them lose with it. Why do they ever play anything else?
I don't know, man. They're in their head, just like Creed,
Yeah, too many options. I love Blizzo, of course. Warriors are actually really good right now too, but I just feel like when Skill-Capped EU plays Ellie Fire Mage, they just beat everything. It's always oh man, okay, our backs are against the wall. We tried this random composition. It didn't end up working out. Okay, we have to lock them in. Maybe they're afraid of Affliction Elemental Shaman? Affliction Warlock?
Oh.
They could play it here, though.
Honestly,
I'm imagining they are. It's Tolveron. Yeah.
On this map, I feel like Reload Esports should blind lock Elemental Shaman.
How are they going to play that?
Valet. They should blind lock Shadowplay. They play Shadowplay.
I'd be good with that.
Might be scary.
That could be a good matchup.
Mage, but
yeah, I'm a noob. What's Shadowplay again? I thought that was the mage.
Warlock.
That's Shadowplay.
Warlock Shadowpriest is Shadowplay. I think Skill-Capped EU would just play Windwalker Mage. Paladin.
Well,
against Shadowplay?
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Okay, this is another option for them, but Skill-Capped EU, if they don't just lock in Elemental Shaman, I'll be blown away.
Maybe Zeepai isn't here. I know Mystic and Zeepai live together, so maybe Mystic's
where's your Ethernet cable? It must have got snipped. Whoops. I love it when there's
sabotage.
That is real.
Dude, heck yeah, man. Are you kidding?
It's gotta be in the rules, right?
Yeah,
in the
rules.
Don't unplug your Ethernet cable
even
from
if they're
your
roommate.
Yeah.
I feel like Zeepai has to be here. There's no way. What were they thinking with Warrior Mage? You really think they thought
I'm really
play
surprised
Shadow
they locked in
Priest,
that Warrior.
Warlock? I feel like Reload Esports, if they didn't pick it here, they're never picking Shadow Priest Warlock.
Yeah.
If they run at the Paladin against Ellie Mage, they're going to die so fast. There's no way that they're going to run at Asgrath if they lock in Ellie Mage. There's no way. If they do it, I guess hats off to them.
Bring out the pie. Bring out the pie. I want Z pie. Please.
Is it ZP or Z-Pie?
Z pie, man.
Pie.
I swear some people I've heard ZP or something like.
They're very wrong,
I
man.
mean,
I
I
feel
never
like
asked the guy.
Yeah, I'm
and
gonna
he's
be
too
honest
nice
with
to
you.
correct me, but like,
If Zeepai
I like
hasn't
Maybe.
corrected us at this point, I don't know. If his name is
Then
ZP,
that's on him. That's
If
on
his name is
him.
ZP after 4 years of 5 years of
Us calling him Z-Pie.
wow, it's been a long time with all these players. There it
It's
is, dude.
right.
Holy smokes! If Reload makes something happen as Ret Warrior on Tolvaron Arena versus this, I mean, I don't know. I'll be thoroughly impressed. I would expect Reload to go on to win the series if they beat him here.
Yeah, definitely, I would agree with that. If Skill Cap DU does win on this game, though, here it ties it up. Ven, do you think that your prediction is going to be correct with this game 5? That was you, right?
Yeah, well, I feel like Skill Cap to you, this is a matchup they should win. Honestly, I feel like if Skill Cap to you just plays this comp every game, they'll win 3-1.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Win like
Yeah.
I
3
think
to
the only
1?
way it goes to a game 5 is if Skill Cap to you somehow doesn't lock in Ellie Mage, but I really can't recall a time where they've lost as this comp. It just really seems like they beat anything, and anytime they play it, I feel like I'm like fanboying a little bit right now, but it's the truth, and it was my biggest
Oh, yeah.
criticism of them 2 weekends ago. And then they
Yeah.
just played it and won against everything. So I don't know. I want to see it again. We'll have to see. I mean, Reload Esports is going to be a tall order for them. This is not an easy map, not an easy matchup, but we'll see. Maybe they can pull it off.
Yeah, we're going to have to find out here. Is Skill Cap DU going to turn it around with this composition here and prove Venruki correct? What's going to happen here? Game number 2. It's Reload Esports versus Skill Cap DU.
Dude, Mystic pulls this off. I would be more than happy to say that they are like the best Ret Warrior in EU. I mean, this is Skill Cap to EU. This is no pushover. This is Skill Cap to EU's Maro on his Fire Mage main, Zeepai on his Elemental Shaman main, and Asgrath not on his main, but it's a Holy Paladin. I heard they're pretty good. This is on Tolvaron Arena, dude.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I feel like this is one of those games where even if you lose, you're like, yeah, we were supposed to lose that. Let's keep going.
I just like the overall feeling of this game already. We're game number 1. Reload Esports are just running at Asgrath now. Asgrath's saying, yeah,
Instantly.
bring it. All right. You're not going to be able to bully me this time.
Look at
Go.
Mercy's position, dude. He is what?
It's waiting
What
for
is going
dampening.
on?
That's the waiting for dampening position by the Warrior in the corner. I didn't even know there was line of sight there. He's hiding in the corner of the corner, trying to just not get zapped by the wizard overlords. But his team gets crowd controlled. He has to jump into the fight, stunning up Zeepai. Mystic gets blasted by Maro. Mystic wraps around the corner here. Mercy's blade storming like a ballerina to retreat with his team, try and avoid the fight as long as possible. They go after the mage who overextended. I like that, punishing the positioning. They hex up Asgrath. That will be decursed, and that was a huge amount of damage. They actually procced
Dude, you got cauterized.
Yeah.
They actually procced Cauterize from Maro. If he was Frost, he would be dead.
Yeah, here's the thing. That's one of those cauterizes where your health doesn't move, but you're suddenly on fire. It's just like, it happens. Sometimes it happens. You're 50% health, and then you're on fire, and you don't realize what happened. I still don't even know what just happened tomorrow, but he's got no cheat death now, and that's definitely going to be a little bit more, a little bit more scary for him to push in, but I feel like if they want to position defensively, it's going to be really difficult for them to kind of push through. Intimidating shout lands. Zeepai, does he have a Tremor Totem? Unfortunately, it doesn't look like he does. Zeepai gets interrupted into a full Hex. Maro can decurse that. And that's definitely some nice utility for Maro and Zeepai. They can really deal with those Hexes that Lone Tar was able to get out so much in that last game. On Maro, they can kind of back each other up and decurse each other. And that's some utility that Lone Tar's kind of lost in this matchup.
Dude, this is definitely Skill Cap's game to lose, and so far, Reload, just getting that big win in the beginning has got to feel really good. Ooh, I love this angle. Look at the positioning. Look at Asgrath across the map. If Lone Tar ever wants to get a Hex on the Holy Paladin, he literally has to go across the Sahara Desert to get it, and he has to go through a lot of other CC that he's probably going to eat himself. But it looks like they're swapping over out on the Mystic. Lasso goes out. Cross CC. Mystic taking huge damage from that combust. He's just going to pop bubble and respect it, but then they're just going to tab target onto Mercy. Forced to use that spell reflect. Looked like she's okay. Lone Tar actually caught in that polymorph. I'm not sure if it was a DR polymorph or what, but it looks like they're going to turtle and be A-okay again, but I like the immediate trade from Mystic. He's not like, you know, oh, I'm gonna try to Word of Glory and then wall and then ultimately half the bubble. He just bubbles. He just respects it, and that makes it so he has a lot more tools to deal with the damage in the future as Maro continues to farm up that next combust.
Back into the corner for Mercy on his mount. He gets Frost Nova. They actually stun Maro. Leap pummel the lasso. Nice play by Mercy, shutting down all of the damage here. But Stormkeeper, Lava Burst, is there a Primordial Wave? Big Lightning Bolts. Mercy the target, ducking around the corner. The entire team of the entire team of Reload Esports just cowering at the corner. Complete opposite, the antithesis of game number 1 right here, where they were just running at the Paladin trying to kill the healer. You bring in an Elemental Shaman instead of a Warrior, you're not leaving the pillar for basically the entire game. You're just living on a prayer at this point to get a big crit, deeper in dampening, maybe punish some positioning if Maro or Zeepai get impatient. But this is going to be easily the toughest game for Reload Esports in the series. You can see even playing at the pillar, Divine Shield and Medallion already burned for Mystic. It is not a good time as a melee cleave in this matchup whatsoever. Maro mounts up. He's getting ready. Zeepai on the right, Maro on the left. Both teams are reluctant to compromise positioning as, I mean, if Maro runs in there, it's basically a blender of melee, and he just blinks in. He gets punished. Lone Tar Fleshcrafts gets sheared on it. It was interesting. We've seen some Spirit Walker's Grace Fleshcraft, so you're actually immune to interrupts and CC at the same time. I'm curious to see if Shamans start utilizing that a little bit more moving into the future, but regardless, right now, not really relevant as Mystic is stunned up. Trades the Shield of Vengeance. Maro going to blink away from the fight. It's his combustion, so, I mean, Reload Esports are happy to just line of sight during that powerful Fire Mage cooldown, and they managed to escape from it pretty much unscathed.
Yeah, and certainly Maro just mounting up right now, trying to kind of break through this very sturdy defense that Reload Esports has set up, utilizing this pillar. And I mean, that's one of the things. I mean, this is a very large map, but if you never leave the pillar, you kind of shrink the battlefield a little bit for the side of a Reload Esports. And I think they are just kind of playing for dampening, playing for Divine Toll, but Mystic getting extremely low. And that's the problem. I mean, you have big damage available here from Maro. That wasn't even the combustion, but both Zeepai and Maro at any moment can just one-shot you. So you have to be very careful as Reload Esports. But at the same time, if you're skill capped EU and you push in a little bit too deep, you're suddenly cauterized as procced, and you don't know why, but it happens. Divine Toll from Mystic can be absolutely devastating, and it's those moments in the game that cause the matchup to be a little bit uncertain. Hammer of Justice now on Mystic, and he might just get dropped. It's going to be a Hex onto Lone Tar with no Trinket. Mystic goes down to 1% health and manages to get the Divine Shield off, thanks to Mercy and his rallying cry, but I can't help but feel like skill-capped EU in these exchanges, pushing in, just getting the crowd control on Lone Tar, they're coming out far ahead in this matchup.
Absolutely. They get that bubble, and guess what just came off cooldown for Maro? Combustion. They are ready to go. Hodge goes out to Maro, immediately dispelled. No cross CC on Asgrath, and I'm just waiting for them to pull the trigger, and I'm just waiting to stare at Mystic's health. He has that wall to be able to deal with some of that damage, but I mean, any CC on the Lone Tar very well could be death. There's the Dragon's Breath double. Can't get sanked out of that. And it looks like there's no cross CC to follow it up. Maro trying to get the Ring of Frost, and he does not get it. Looks like Lone Tar is going to continue to line of sight. Zeepai just raid on top of him. And it looks like he actually is trying to do some damage into Lone Tar. I actually love how he's just messing with them. Let's see if Maro can punish the DPS here and really put some pressure out. Asgrath runs in. He gets the Hodge on the Lone Tar. Sank out of that, though, by Mystic. Wings is going to go ahead and get popped as well, which is going to give him a lot of healing ability. Wake of Ashes giving him 5 holy power as well, and he's just healing behind the pillar, trying to avoid the damage, and that was the combust from Maru. Great job by them to react there. I can't help but feel like Zeepai is just like screaming like, yeah, you better hug that pillar, like across the room to Mystic. It's got to be frustrating to deal with a team that's positioning this way.
Turtle all day, idiot. That's, I think, the phrase that was used in Arena. Mystic stunned up, Lone Tar polyed. Are they going to be able to blast him out? I don't think so. Lone Tar's finally out of crowd control. Maro blinking to midfield with that Vulpin, and they're leaving the pillar. they're leaving the nest. They're cutting the apron strings of the pillar of Tolvaron. This is very scary for them, moving out into the reality of an elemental shaman world. I'm not sure if they're ready for it. They weren't prepared. They're immediately just switching pillars, realizing that was not going to be a good destination to land. They're going to pull away to another pillar and just hope that higher dampening works out for them. But I really don't know who they're going to go after. They go through 2 bops, block, cauterize, wall, positioning, combustion. This is just a gauntlet that I just see no end in sight for them. It's just, at least they're making good friends with the pillar. I mean, that's for sure. This pillar is definitely going to play arena with them in the future. They're definitely getting pretty close and personal. But other than that, I don't know what they're hoping to have happen.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, just trying to potentially get a little bit lucky. We'll see. I mean, Asgrath, his mana's looking really, really good at this point in the game. Maybe the consistent damage on Morrow will be enough, but Zebai backing him up, getting hexes. Ooh, Morrow getting a little bit low. Divine Toll lands. Asgrath forced to trade out the sacrifice, and that's exactly what you want to see if you are Reload Esports. You get the sacrifice out of the way. Mystic at the same time, forced to trade out the Divine Shield, staying in the open for a little bit too long there against Zebai and the combustion of Morrow. Asgrath taking a lot of redirected damage from that sacrifice, 24% dampening. What is Mystic going to do? He's sitting in the middle of the map. Rune of Power out for Morrow. Big damage here potentially onto Mystic, but Stormbolt shuts that down. Lontar pushing forward with his Ascendants, just trading out his healing cooldowns, actually getting a Fleshcraft. Nicely done to avoid that crowd control as his team continues to make a push.
Yep. Looks like they are running concentration aura on the side of skill capped EU, so that means every aura mastery, both these casters are going to be able to free cast, and if that happens with Mystic out in the middle of the map like this, that's going to be scary. Lasso goes out onto Mystic, but he preemptively did get the Sank onto Lontar, stopping that go. This is not combustion. This is just regular out in the open damage, and this is kind of what you're going to have to trade going out in the open against these 2 casters on a map like Tolvaron Arena. Mystic will not dare get out of that Earthen Wall Totem at half health, but it looks like they are pushing in. Zebai dropping down to half health here. Mystic dropping even lower than that. He's got to be scared. Dragon's Breath goes on the Lone Tar. Anything to follow it up? Doesn't look like it just yet. Mystic out across the map, forcing Lone Tar to play with him, but they're all stacked yet again, and they're constantly rotating their positioning to stay A-OK. But at any one of these goes where, you know, I basically freak out, could be anyone's life. It's just so much damage, and both teams are just playing so passively and so safe that I really feel like this game could be ended at any moment from these crazy burst windows that they're synergizing.
Oh, Polymorph on Lone Tar. They could swap to Lone Tar. He's really far out of position. I'd love to see a swap to Lone Tar when he crosses midfield here. Lightning Lasso, are they going to pop Combust? There's a Combust, there's the swap. Ooh. Sanctuary comes up from Mystic just in time.
Sack.
Good reaction from Mystic, but now they swap over to Mystic. Half his health is now gone. Half of Mercy's health is gone. Tab targeting all over the place here at 35% dampening. Becoming very difficult to recover. Avenging Wrath is up. They're trying to go after the Elemental Shaman, praying that 35% dampening is enough healing reduction to take him down. Can they crush him? Asgrath trades out the sacrifice. Mercy leaps back to pummel the Poly. Can't stop the ring, though. Ring of Frost lands. Mystic is alone, locked in a stun. Trinkets out, line of sighting. Now they could swap to Lone Tar again out of this Ring of Frost or the Lightning Lasso. If they want to, it doesn't look like they're going to be able to. Morrow just trying to reset combustion. That's what he needs as the big threat. His Shaman's actually not too comfortable. This deep dampening strategy may just work out. Zepai on 1%, bopped up. Lone Tar moves out to purge it off. Deep into dampening. Maybe they just go for an all-in on the Shaman. They can't keep up with Zepai. They're switching back to Morrow. Just for a moment, they don't really want the mage. They're going to hex the mage. They drop Warbanner for the sprint to get right back onto Zepai. Lone Tar trying to line of sight Poly, drops Grounding Totem. Now it looks like Morrow double Dragon's Breath, Ring of Frost, just trying to buy time for Zepai to get distance. Mercy is just charging in. Lone Tar, Mystic, and Mercy have decided that this is now the time. 41% damage. There's that Spirit Walker's Grace Fleshcraft. Lone Tar is immune to crowd control for basically 8 seconds straight to get aggressive with his team, but Zepai is stalling like a legend, just knocking Mystic to the side. Mercy can't touch him. This untouchable Ghost Wolf. Asgrath positions very far, gets stunned up. Is there a Hammer of Justice? Mystic gets polyed. He can't Hammer of Justice, and Zepai is just running laps at this point, kiting them, waiting for combustion. They got Stormkeeper. Mercy jumps on with the Door of Shadows. Lone Tar interrupts the Lightning Lasso. You can tell that Skill Cap to you feel like this is deep enough dampening for them to get a kill, but they're starting to fall behind. They have to drop Spirit Link Totem and Parry to recover from the combustion here, but that is more than a fair trade. If they stabilize and stay on target, I see potential to take out the Elemental Shaman.
Oh, definitely. Zeepai getting low. If they can just stay on target. He's getting shred through. This is the Astral Shifter. They're just killing him through it. Blessing of Protection. Can it get purged? Zeepai so low. Reload Esports looking to turn this map on its head and go up 2-0 against Skillcap DU. This is not looking good. At the same time, Mercy gets caught into a lightning lasso, and they reverse the pressure. Mystic using his Divine Shield to help out Mercy in that situation. Just help avoid damage just a little bit. They realize they're so close to the finish line, but at the same time, Skillcap DU, they've managed to get a lot of cooldowns. There's really nothing left here for the side of Reload Esports. They could go after Mystic, they could go after Mercy. Lone Tar maybe not the best option, but if they get crowd control on him, I think Skillcap DU still has a fighting chance, but Zeepai cannot be feeling too healthy here.
No, not at all. I mean, every single time these two connect, it is scary. That's Lasso, full polymorph. Mercy in a lot of trouble. Mystic, no off healing available. He used it the last go, and that's it. I actually think Zeepai was crucial in that kill. Not only did he get really close to dying a couple times there, but I think it was a bait, man. They had to chase them into the worst positions, and they just stopped lining up their bubble because of that. He actually had a bubble to help the warrior, but does anyone else feel like that game got a lot easier for Skillcap once they started hitting warrior? I don't know if that was the key there or if it was the positioning, but both teams definitely found their kill target. Zeepai was chunked. I mean, I thought he was gone twice. But same with Mercy. Mercy just ran out of cooldowns to the point where Mystic basically had to be the off healer during a couple of these goes. And once he didn't have bubble, I mean, a team as seasoned and as good as Skillcap DU is going to find opportunities across CC.
Zeepai just put on his little Ghost Wolf sneakers and started running laps and caught Mercy at the pillar with the stun, and no one could stop him. His beautiful positioning with a poly. Everyone was crowd controlled. Excellent execution. You could tell that Skillcap DU were prepared for a long game, and we're going to let that initial just turtle at the pillar strategy get to them at all. They're more than prepared to pull off victory. Great positioning. They only took favorable exchanges, which is to be expected on a map like Tolvaron. However, I don't think that's going to work for them on a small map. I feel like the Ret Warrior is going to be able to get on that Elemental Shaman. So maybe Skillcap DU will be forced into a new composition come this third map.
I'm with Elliot, though. I think they should stay. Never change ever again.
That's the question. I mean, Ven really wants to see these guys stick with this composition as they have pretty good success on it, as we just saw in that last game. So yeah, that's definitely the question, is are they going to stick with this one here on Fire Mage Ellie, or are they going to be able to have to swap something up? It's going to be Reload Esports map choice. So what do we want to see them do, Sid? Do you think they're going to try and force them off of this composition?
I don't think they have any other comp, is the only reason they wouldn't change. Like, there's no way they play Warrior Mage on the small map. I feel like there's no way. So what else could they do? They could do Ellie Warrior.
Moonkin
Ellie would be pretty good, I think. But Maro plays the Mage and the Moonkin. Oh, no, yeah, sorry, you're right. You could do that. Moonkin Ellie, yeah, that sounds like the best.
Doesn't sound like a composition they have a lot of games in.
Maro's played a lot of Boomkin. I mean,
I just want just play Fire Mage. Play Fire Mage Ellie.
Yeah,
every game.
Why wouldn't they stick with Ellie
just
Fire?
Play it until you lose. That's what I think.
I don't see Fire Mage Ellie. Like, what do they lose against on Reload?
It was I mean, to be fair, that was a close game. That was the best map.
Much closer than I thought it was going to be.
And both Maro and Zeepai were in a lot of danger. Zeepai especially, but still, I just feel like how comfortable Maro and Zeepai are playing this composition together. It just seems like I just have faith that they'll find a way. They'll be able to survive these impossible situations, and they'll be able to find, a moment where they can actually close out the game. That's definitely what I want to see. I anticipate that Reload Esports will end up going to a smaller map, but if I'm Skillcap DU, I definitely just lock in the same comp. I'd be surprised to see them switch it up.
What does that matchup look like on a smaller map?
It's pretty much the same thing. It's just more difficult for Zeepai to get away. So, yeah, like so basically, when you're playing a caster cleave against a shaman healer, what you want to do is run away from him. You basically just want to pull him off the pillar. You want to pull him out into the open, and that's when Maro can get Dragon's Breath Sheeps, or Zeepai can find hexes if they're going after Maro. If you're playing on the pillar, you're kind of playing their game. Skill Cap EU, they're scared of something. This just tells me that they're scared of something. I don't know what it is, but they're going to be locking in the Fire Mage Warrior, which means Reload Esports will lock in the Ret Warrior Shaman, and they're just going to run at the healer the whole game once again. So I don't know how much I like this, but at the same time,
Game 5.
Game 1 again.
We're going to game 5
1 again, except a way better map for Reload Esports.
Yeah.
So it's even more. So at this point, I do think it's going to go to a game 5 unless Skill Cap EU can pull off something crazy here.
All right. Well, let's go back to game number 1. We saw them lock in the same composition on the side of Skill Cap EU. We could probably guess as to what Reload is going to play. D Machine, what could they maybe improve upon for game number 1 if they want to pull off this victory with this composition?
What could they improve upon? Oh my gosh, that's tough. I think that Reload Esports, when it comes to like just rotating defensive cooldowns, being cognizant of your position, because Skill Cap EU is definitely the type of team that are like, oh, you want to use those offensive cooldowns, you want to be aggressive. Well, to get value out of those buttons, you're going to have to come to my side of the map. And they're just constantly forcing this double melee team into a position they don't want to be. But Lone Tar is an absolute boss when it comes to utilizing his grounding, his shears, and just and even hexing Morrow. So he's not going to make it easy for them, but again, I think Skill Cap EU is the best team in the tournament, to be frank. And I think that when you're put into these positions where you really have to make these nuanced plays that just make all the difference in the series, I put my money on them. But here we go. We got Ret Warrior Shaman again. And I'd be lying to y'all if I said I wasn't happy to see that locked in again. I love watching them get the tips.
Okay, well, we see both compositions here. We are going to be going into Hook Point. We're going to have to see if Skill Cap EU knows something that we don't with this composition. Seems to be a pretty risky play for them. Currently tied up 1-1 in this best of 5 series. Do we feel like this is a little bit, so far, Stupid T is a little bit more closely matched than maybe we would have initially predicted?
I thought that there was no hope for Reload Esports in that last game initially, but then towards the end, I'm like, LE Mage isn't that comfortable on their best map, so I don't think they can rely on it too much. Although, I mean, maybe it is that Warlock Shadow Priest. Maybe that just like is now a counter to the other. Maybe it's like the Wizard Cleave counter, because they're locking a Warrior Mage that they lost with in game 1, and they lost with Blizzo doing like double the damage of Mercy.
Yeah.
So, and they lost with such it just seems like a rudimentary strategy. Like, they just attacked Asgrath for 8 minutes and you lost. Like, it just seemed like this, like really just like, I don't know if I would be confident like locking that in again when that's just gonna run at your Paladin. Okay, it's a 1v1 between Morrow and Lothar. Huh?
Yeah, there's nowhere to hide on this map as well. Like,
yeah.
At least on the Grand, you get some room to maneuver around a little bit. On this map, he's not getting away. The Lone Tar is going to be there for the purges on the freedoms, purge the divine favor, and I don't know. I'm not feeling too good if I'm Skill Cap EU. I really am wondering what they're afraid of. Is it Shadow Priest Warrior? Shadow Priest Rat? Like, what's so scary as the Elemental Shaman Fire Mage?
Even if they were afraid of that, is this a better option for them, this composition?
This feels like not a great... I mean, I guess they got close a few times. He can definitely win, for sure. I mean, if Morrow can get CC on Lone Tar... Honestly, Lone Tar did a really good job on the Grand, kind of bullying Morrow with the hexes and the Fleshcraft immunity and wind shears and stuff like that. He did a really good job avoiding that crowd control. And if that goes a little bit more in favor of Morrow, the game can unravel really, really quickly. So it's not a complete loss here for Skill Cap EU, but I wonder if they could have gotten a better matchup.
All right. Game number 3 here, starting shortly. It's on Hook Point. Reload Esports versus Skill Capped EU. Are they going to be able to pull off this composition here on the side of Skill Capped, or is Reload Esports going to put themselves on match point?
They're going to make Skill Capped walk the plank. Here on Hook Point. That was my best Sid impression. I want Asgrath to just position himself like in that corner where Chaz was drinking all game. That's where I want. I want him to like force this double melee, just line of sight forever. And it looks like they want Asgrath. They're chasing him. Asgrath's just sitting in spawn. He knows. Full Hodge charge stun goes out on Asgrath. Immediate trinket from him. He's respecting that Avatar Wings. He's getting out of there on his pony. And he's actually running human this time around. So he's going to have that human trinket, but he doesn't have it available right now. Wall Wings is going to be used. Divine Toll is going to top him off. Mystic's Wings and Avatar from Mercy are still going strong, though. Asgrath is going to need to continue to get away from these. Here we go. Stormbolt on the Mystic. CS on the Lone Tar. Can they get Mystic to go defensive? Double DB goes out as well, but it looks like they didn't even get anything out of that besides, what a Tremor Totem in a defensive fear? The onslaught continues on the Asgrath, and the clock is ticking for skill capped.
My heart bleeds. Sorry, my heart bleeds for Maro in this matchup a little bit. Ooh, can he get a full polymorph? Dragon's Breath does land. Do they have a reflect? Do they have something? He does manage to get it. Full polymorph does land. Now they can get aggressive here on Mystic. What I was going to say, it's Spell Reflect, it's Wind Shear, it's Stormbolt, it's
my gosh.
immunity to crowd control. There's a lot of interrupts here, Sid.
All right, let's see if they can manage to get through it, because they're just going after Asgrath again here on Hook Point. It's a very close quartered map. It's going to be difficult. Blizzo is trying to assist, disarming Mercy for a moment, pausing the fight. Triple crowd control initiated by Skill Cap DU. Mystic tries to respond with a Blessing of Protection on the Intimidating Shout, allowing Lone Tar to escape crowd control. Asgrath is tanking them out here in midfield. I feel like Ret Warrior is tunneling you is very scary as a Holy Paladin. At any moment, that Ringing Clarity could just KO you, so they need to be very careful. But Lone Tar's and Apolly, they're turning it around. Skill Cap DU look to try and take the swing match away from Reload Esports and move to match point themselves. And if they can get a Game 5 on Ashamain or Empyrean, I feel like they've got this series in the bag. Reload Esports cannot afford to lose here. Mystic charging in, stunning up Asgrath, trying to blast him down. Blizzo intervening, but when you intervene, all the damage goes to you, so he's going to trade Die by the Sword to reduce that redirected damage and stabilize so Asgrath can hold on to some mana. His mana's not looking amazing. Triple Fear initiated here by Mercy, trying to just chunk down the Paladin and buy time for Lone Tar to get out of crowd control. Asgrath has not been comfortable. Maro has not been having a good time either. Just Stormbolt into Hex time and time again. Asgrath has to Divine Shield. Gets a big heal right towards the tail end of it. I feel like if Reload Esports can keep this up, I mean, they've got this in the bag.
Yeah, certainly at this point. Mystic getting really low and needs to be very careful here, but things are looking good here for Reload Esports until this full polymorph lands. What is Mystic going to be able to do? Lone Tar, he's got his Trinket, he's got a Spirit Link. Mystic, 30% health. Still trying to get on target, but Asgrath not making that easy. Although Asgrath's already down to 50% mana, actually sitting down for a drink. He managed to escape. Skill Cap DU has enough pressure where Asgrath has a moment to breathe. He can sit down, breathe, take a deep breath, just chill out. Mystic maybe overextending here. Maro drops a full Ring of Frost, potentially looking for a polymorph. He's in a full Hex's Combustion as well. Whoa. Maro has had enough. He just trades out the Ice Block, but still really not getting too much value there with the Ice Block, with the Combustion. Mystic, if he doesn't have to trade his Divine Shield, and Lone Tar doesn't have to trade his Trinket, I feel like that's a bit of a disaster there for Maro.
I totally agree. I mean, between the AoE Spell Reflect from Mercy, the Intervene, and the Word of Glory's throughput from Wings, that CC chain just wasn't enough. Mystic still getting chunked down over and over again, but they have answers. Here we go, Avatar on Asgrath, and he doesn't. He has Trinket. That's about it. Cross CC Fear goes out on the Blizzo. He rages out of it. Maro's still caught in it. Asgrath's still all alone without any peels at this point. I do love that when Asgrath sees that he's going to get attacked, he forces these guys to literally go in their spawn. You have to be as overexpended as humanly possible if you want to have uptime on me. Mercy, he got disarmed there for just a second, but he immediately gets right back on him. It looks like Mystic is going to position himself a little bit more defensively, hitting Blizzo, generating those Word of Glories. And I love that Lone Tar moves with his team here. Preemptive Earthen Wall Totem goes down. Mystic should be okay. DR Stormbolt to follow it up. Lone Tar looks like he's dealing with the CC. There's the Dragon's Breath. Can they follow it up? Nope. They're going to go on tomorrow and stop all that momentum right there and then. And the clock was ticking earlier. We haven't even hit dampening, and look at Asgrath's mana. He's immediately going to pop wall on that Hodge. But the uptime of this warrior Ret Paladin not only reduces Asgrath mana, but it also keeps Mystic's throughput to heal himself completely healthy, and the momentum is just completely in their favor.
I'm not sure how much longer they can keep this up. They're really not finding any dents at the moment. They're trying to push through right here. Can they find an opening? Mystic down at 20%. Gets intervened. by Mercy, and that's going to stabilize him for the polymorphs. Now Askrat the target once again. Hammer of Justice. Is he going to have to use the medallion to escape? How much support will his team be able to provide? They're not finding too much damage, at least fortunately for Askrat in this position, but Mystic now pulling the trigger on a huge hit of damage on that Wake of Ashes, but Askrat gets a big Divine Toll, topping himself off. Mystic charging forward, gets rooted up along with Mercy, trying not to break that Frost Nova. Double Dragon's Breath, just stalling the reconnect on Askrat. Double Ring of Frost, nicely done here. Stormbolt on Mystic, perfect setup, but no combust. It's like 1 second away to try and pop it towards the tail end and power through, but Shield of Vengeance and Word of Glory are denying it. Now that, oh my goodness, that huge pop from that shield hits 2 targets very low. Askrat drank though, amidst all of that disruption. Wow. I almost feel like someone should have trinketed to stop that drink. They were winning on mana clearly, and they all have a way to get out of crowd control. It seems like a big throw if they end up losing that here. Intimidating shout. They're going to have to bubble anyway. They have to bubble anyways. They Stormbolt the Shatter, but Askrat just sneaking in a drink out of nowhere puts his team back in the game.
It wasn't like a little drink either, and Mystic might just get dropped. There's no Divine Shield. Lonechar forced to trade out his trinket, and things are unraveling here for the side of Reload Esports. Everything was looking so good, everything going in their favor, but at the same time, Askarath, no Divine Shield. He was able to get a drink, but he doesn't really have many tools to survive. They might just drop Mystic, though, in the meantime, getting down to 20% health. Lonechar not in crowd control. Finally, a full polymorph sneaks in. Do they have the damage? A preemptive Earthen Wall Totem soaking up a lot of the hits. Mystic should be able to self-sustain. Combustion once again here from Morrow. Hammer of Justice lands. Mystic shutting that down. Eat that stun, Morrow. Lonechar just throwing in some healing surges, keeping Mystic alive, but it's just not enough. They just kill him through heals, the Dragon's Breath. And skill-capped EU, this is such an important swing match for them to win. And maybe this is how this matchup normally plays out in their practice. That looked a lot better for skill-capped EU.
I 100% agree. I mean, at the end there, it might not have had any CC when they landed that kill, but they definitely were tapped on cooldowns. They just didn't have anything to respond to that. No link, no bubble. And, you know, sometimes you're caught and you don't have those holy power. You can't top yourself off. But, I mean, regardless, skill capped looks just really, really strong. I love Asgarath's positioning throughout the game. And that can't be an easy role for him to just get trained by these guys the whole time. I mean, the smallest mistake on Asgarath's part and the game's over. It really is. There's no breathing room there. I would say probably the same for the Reload Esports in terms of their cooldown rotating, which sometimes can be really hard with Spirit Link or Ascendance where, you know, range matters, especially in a game like this where positioning matters so friggin' much. But that I thought that this was a for sure W for Reload Esports, looking at the compositions going into it, and after watching game number 1, it just felt like they had buttons for days to trade to stay aggressive on Asgarath, but obviously proven wrong once again.
Oh no, it's gotta stop happening, David.
I want to shout out this Shadow Meld there at the end of the game. He Shadow Melded that final hex.
Still think Night Elf is the best race in the game.
I think Night Elf is getting a lot better. I mean, the main reason that Human is falling off is because if you use the Human racially got out of a stun, then it's 3 minutes to wait. It's a really long time, and there's way more opportunities to exploit you. In the past, when the game was slower, there weren't these cooldowns to punish. You could kind of get away with that efficiency. Now you normally need a medallion for that one moment to save, right, and then you can get extra crowd control avoidance through Shadow Meld instead without putting it on cooldown. You can just pre-meld the incoming crowd control. I feel like there's a lot more racial options, at least on Alliance, with the way the current meta is at the moment. Horde is still pretty orc heavy. If you can be an orc, you're probably going to be an orc, but human racial is definitely, I think, losing favor at the moment.
Did you flip your coaster from Alliance to Horde, Elliot?
I did, yes.
I saw that.
Wow, what you
attention to detail.
I think you waited until the camera was on too to do it, man.
Unbelievable.
But Alliance,
I'm still trying to convince
shouldn't
NA
it be
to go
Alliance when
Alliance?
Alliance wins, and then if Horde wins, you flip it to Horde?
Hey, listen,
No?
okay, there's no
You're
rhyme or
trying to
reason
make
it.
yeah. I'm about to say like
I'm just showing off my cool coaster, okay? Please.
It is a
back to
cool
Alliance.
coaster.
It's interchangeable.
Yeah, that was a good one in the BlizzCon goodie bag, right? A couple years ago.
One of my favorites, very nifty.
I feel like
That's
that
for sure.
one,
Nifty.
you're not loyal if you use that. Like, at any time, you could just flip. Like, I don't know how I feel about that.
I mean, we are PvPers.
If you were a true member of the Horde, that would be Horde on both sides, wouldn't it?
I don't know.
I didn't make it.
Yeah, but then you have to make 2 of them, man. That's a lot of... Dude.
You
Yeah,
should
I'm
get
just gonna
2
be
of them
honest,
and
I
then
didn't
glue
make
them
it, okay?
together. Just get 2 and glue them together so it's only Horde.
Well, then they had the bracelet too. So you'd have to get. You could do like.
Oh, yeah, they had a Horde and Alliance bracelet where you could flip the bracelet.
We could flip.
Dude.
Yeah, man.
I'm
Alright.
still trying to convince North America to go to Alliance. EU has the right idea
No,
with being
stop
Alliance on
it.
the live game.
Stop it.
Can someone please
No
sign my
more
petition?
Alliance propaganda.
You're-
It's not better.
You're
Don't-
triggering a lot
Don't
of
listen
people.
to this guy.
Stay
I'm just-
Horde.
I want to be a gnome. They're freaking sweet.
No.
I want Shadow
blame
Meld.
you.
Think about all the Twitch or whatever clips of Shadow Meld. Like,
I
we
mean,
see all these
True.
amazing Zaryu clips and this and that, but what if we saw Shadow Melds more?
Shadow
Right?
Meld Convoke.
Man has a point. Well, we'll have to see if you can make that cultural shift, D-Machine. I wish you luck in that one. Certainly would be difficult. However, we are soon coming on to game number 4 here of Reload Esports versus Skillcap DU. Skillcap DU now on match point here. They swapped off of that Ellie Fire Mage composition, and we were a little bit nervous for them. However, they managed to pull off that game 3 victory. So, Venrigu, where do we think they're going to head to next?
We're going to a small map for sure. No doubt in my mind we're going to a small map, and I think skill cap to you, we'll just lock on the same thing. Warrior Fire Mage Paladin. It definitely didn't look too bad. I mean, Asgarath had moments in the match where he was able to sneak away and drink. He switched over to playing human. The Shadow Meld seemed to work out really nicely for Morrow as well to kind of win those one-on-one exchanges we were talking about against Lone Tar. It's such an important part of this game is Lone Tar just denying everything that Morrow does, hexing him, grounding, shearing when he doesn't have those available. That's when the Master Reflect comes in. That's when the Stormbolt comes in. That's where Mercy can really help back him up. But Morrow with the Night Elf, it seemed a little bit better. Asgarath with multiple stun breaks definitely seemed a little bit better. And just overall, they seemed a lot more comfortable in the matchup. And for Reload Esports, now that they locked in Dalaran Sewers and they see what they're met with, I do expect them to lock in the same thing. But I can't help but feel like they could play this differently. Like, I don't think they have to just run at the Paladin. I think they can go after the Mage, go after Morrow, stop him from getting fireballs, and resetting his combustion with the Night Fae ability, and they might be able to win the same way. I mean, they're winning by getting him out of mana. I feel like they could get him out of mana just as fast, going after Morrow and playing it a little bit safer.
The way the game looks, it's like Asgarath is like a matador, and he's got like that red towel, and he's just shaking it the whole game. And Reload Esports are just bulls. They just have to keep running at him the whole game.
Get over here. They're literally cows. Weren't they Horde?
Oh my
That
god.
works out too, because I think Reload Esports is a Spanish org, so there you go. Nice reference. It's great.
Nah, I totally agree with Ben though. I think that they should hit a DPS. Their positioning will be better. Lone Tar's never going to have to deal with Maru alone. I mean, you have that Sanctuary from the Rep Paladin 2 to get him out of stuns. You have the Shear, you have the grounding, Fleshcraft. If they were even going on Maru, I mean, his life is going to be hell, and I don't imagine Lone Tar will ever get CC'd, and maybe that's the late game answer they need.
Just
All
run
right,
at him.
We're gonna see here what they decide to pick. Running out of time to pick their composition. Although it's possible they know what they're gonna play, they're just kind of figuring things out on their end. But they are gonna be locking in Warrior, Rat Paladin once again here on Dalaran Sewers. D Machine, you liking this choice?
Yeah, it's small. It's one of those maps where, like, especially versus a team at the caliber that skill cap is, these small maps always can backfire. I mean, yes, the attrition definitely seems like it's in Reload Esports' favor, and skill cap is going to have to be the one who needs to position themselves a bit more defensively. But at a moment's notice, I mean, if you use combust at the right time, at the right window, skill cap very easily could be the aggressors. So it's one of those we'll have to wait and see. I definitely think that either one of these teams could easily take it.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and if we, look at their performance for the last couple of cups, you are right in that, D-Machine. Both of these teams doing super well so far, but we're going to have to see who comes out the victor for this series. It's game number 4, Reload Esports versus Skillcap DU. Skillcap DU on match point.
All right, let's see if they can get it done here. That Warrior Mage looks a lot better, but it was really all because of that drink. If he didn't get a drink, I feel like they had no cooldowns. He was 10% mana. Reload Esports had multiple options. They could have just traded. And that was a sneeze. Hopefully they don't choke like that in this final game. They need to get 2 wins. Ultimately, though, it's going to be a game 5 on Tolvaron versus Zepai. So, I mean, is it really even the end of the world if they go down here? I feel like you're just saving yourself a lot of grief maybe at this point. But, yep, target acquired. We're going after that Paladin. They get a big hit right away, but Asgrath's ready for it. Blizzo's backing him up. Blizzo is tearing Mystic apart right now, punishing this aggressive strategy. Lontar is counterspelled. Maro gets feared away by Mercy. They're just using crowd control on the mage and targeting the Paladin. That's the main strategy they've been utilizing against this team throughout the series, and they've really only got one more opportunity here to make it work.
Yeah, right now, Maro trying to go for crowd control. Mercy getting a little bit low. Mystic and a Hammer of Justice. I think it was actually a Blessing of Protection that just traded out there by Mystic to free Lontar from crowd control, but Mystic getting extremely low. There's not too much damage. It's mostly just Blizzo going after her right now, just on top of Mercy, on top of Mystic, playing basically defense goalkeeper here for Asgrath, just really punishing them when they get aggressive. Maro finally lands a full polymorph, pulls out the combustion, so it looks like Mystic will be okay. A little bit more follow-up damage, but more than enough support there for Mystic. He holds on, and they continue their assault here onto Asgrath, and Asgrath just going to have to position, basically trying to drag. Mystic still not feeling too confident right here. He's got the Trinket, he's got the Divine Shield. Is he going to have to trade? Lontar potentially landing a full Hex. Warbanner does drop down by Blizzo. Unfortunately mistimed there, and as a result, Maro eats the full Hex. He actually trades out the Ice Block, and this is what I'm talking about. Maro, he's got no Trinket, he's got no Ice Block. I feel like they could, turn their attention there, or I guess they could continue to just go after that crowd control. He's the only one that can't get out of Hex. Lontar now into full polymorph. Mystic once again taking a beating here in midfield as they continue this assault on Asgrath. But I would say this game is just going all in favor of skill-capped EU. Shattering throw here on the Divine Shield. Can he get it off? Going for it. Mystic line of sights. Mercy actually did a great job with his intimidating shout to deny that. Full Hex now on Maro. A skill-capped EU is on the back foot. Hammer of Justice on Asgrath. Gets to hold on. Can he survive? It looks like he will be able to for now, but Reload Esports, they're not looking too healthy. If I was Mystic, I would not be feeling too comfortable right now.
Not at all, man. That was crazy. It was huge damage on Asgrath, and Mercy was so confident in his team's damage throughput that he preemptively started shattering through Asgrath. He's like, dude, you're taking the damage right now. Hodge goes out in Asgrath yet again. He gets out of it. Looks like he's A-okay, and there's no room to run back to. There's no place where you can really make these guys overextend super far, and that's the map choice, the power of it. Asgrath still has that wall available. Even Bop and Trinket if he really needs it once these guys connect. And if you take a look at, Maro is just way more in the fight. He got fully hexed right there, great cross CC, but he is able to get a lot more polymorphs, a lot more CC out on the Lontar, and it's really challenging this Ret Warrior to be defensive sometimes. But they're just trading through it again. They're just continuously just chasing after Asgrath. Great job using that ring to kite back and forth, and Asgrath is just looking for a place to kite that just doesn't exist. I feel like he's just exploring this map and every nook and cranny he can get away from this double melee.
What we haven't talked about really here is Blizzo on the Gnome Warrior. I feel like when Warriors on Gnome, they're like 30% more threatening, and it's also really good into the Earth Grab totem of the Shaman to get out of roots. But yeah, I feel like some of the best Warriors, I see Joe Fernandez on a Gnome, wins BlizzCon. True. Blizzo goes on the Gnome now, starts winning. I just feel like, Gnomes are the future.
Gnomes are the future. I agree, Sid. Please continue about how we should all go Alliance.
Oh, yeah, why did I walk myself into that?
Mystic getting a little bit low right now. This is the combustion from Maro. Still up and available. Alter Time just trying to avoid a little bit of damage. Going to be moving forward, gets the full crowd control. Unfortunately, Alter Time brings him back far away. Not able to really get too much damage here over on a Mystic. Lontar in a great position. He's got the Trinket, he's got the Spirit Link, he's got all the cooldowns he needs. Sanctuary does come out from Mystic, freeing Lontar from that intimidating shout, but he's still low. Big damage coming in from skill-capped EU. Mystic managing to hold on. A polymorph lands on Lontar. There's a War Banner from Mercy. Free up some of that crowd control. At the same time, Asgrath in a lot of trouble. Keep in mind, he's got no Divine Shield. Very dangerous situation. If he gets caught into a Hammer of Justice, he's going to have to trade out his Trinket, or he could potentially just fall down doing a great job. There's the Hammer of Justice, immediate Gladiator's Medallion to free himself from that stun and get behind the pillar. Now should be okay for some time, and now it's going to be up to Mystic and Lontar to try to just hold on, wait for that next Hammer of Justice so they can continue this push on Asgrath, but I don't know if they have enough time. Mystic getting low. Trinket Spirit Link is available. Mystic throwing on huge heal on himself. Does manage to hold on. We were just stepping foot here into dampening. And we'll have to see. Asgrath, if he can't avoid drinking, if he can't drink in this matchup, Reload Esports still has a very fair shot.
Here we go. Hodge on Asgrath. No trinket for this one. Do they have... And the cross CC is nuts. Blizzo disarm. Maru in a full hex. Asgrath, the onslaught continues out onto him. The DB on the Lontar. Can they stop it on the Polymorph? They do. They stop Maru yet again. Hodge defensively on Mystic. I'm pretty sure he defensively Hodged Mystic on cooldown this entire time. Looks like... But if you look at the buttons on the side of Reload Esports, they have everything. And here we go. Hodge again onto Asgrath. Wings Wall is going to be used as well. War Stomp DR out of that on their entire team. Hex full on tomorrow. And I just don't see a win condition in for Skill Cap EU right now. I feel like they need to live a lot longer to be able to make that happen. And if the buttons just don't tell a story of that happening. Disarm onto Blizzo yet again, just on cooldown. And I feel like Asgrath has to feel the pressure on his team is just on his back right now. If Asgrath is able to just make a miracle happen and continue to live forever as he's done time and time again, that could be what wins the game. Bop goes out onto the Stormbolt immediately, just trading that, respecting the damage. Mystic has his bubble back. He's getting really low. He trades out the wall instead, as well as the Ashbringer, if you will, to get that back. But again, Asgrath is the one who needs to be scared.
These Fleshcrafts from Lontar have been just so problematic for Morrow, and that's new as of this week on the Renowned catch-up. You're going to have to play around that channeled shadow spell that makes you immune to crowd control. But now Lontar gets caught. Mystic gets blasted. They panic. They overlap. They throw everything but the kitchen sink, and now they're possibly going to be losing this game. They're trying to chase down Asgrath and finish it. If they can keep him out of mana, at least they'll have that edge, but they've used pretty much everything else in that exchange. Mercy is trying to chop up Asgrath. Asgrath is taking quite a bit of damage from that condemned Venthyr Warrior. Intervene over to Mystic. They're both connecting. Divine Shield comes up in 2 seconds. 1 second for Divine Shield. Asgrath jumps down, trying to line of sight, gets a huge Wake of Ashes hit to the face. Double Ring of Frost. They're desperate. Morrow's trying to control the team. He gets Windshield. Asgrath has to bubble. Is there a Shattering Throw? Shattering Throw from Mercy. Asgrath's going to top off, though. It's going to cost him all of his mana. He can't go anywhere. They're all over him right now. They're looking to take this to Game 5. Mercy with the heroic leap. Slam. Dunk. Execute after execute. That is more than enough to close it out. And despite being so far behind on cooldowns out of nowhere, they decide that's it. We're all in. Zug or nothing.
Don't fix what ain't broke.
Yeah, I mean, for Reload Esports, that was looking absolutely devastating for them, especially when they overlapped all those cooldowns. But just having enough uptime on Asgrath, continuing with their strategy, it ended up paying off for them. This series is going to get tied up 2-2, but a really close game there. I'm so surprised to see them not switch their target. Go over tomorrow. He's playing such an aggressive build with his talents, even his trinkets, but you can see that they have a strategy in mind, and they are definitely going to stick to it. Asgrath right now, he has about 9 seconds left on that Divine Shield at this point in the game. We'll have to see. Getting extremely low. He trades out the Divine Shield, I think, right at this moment.
Right there.
Saved by the Light does proc, so they get some value there. Saved by the Light, the Hammer of Justice. Divine Shield does come in. Mercy potentially looking for a Shattering Throw. Does he find it? He does. And at this point, Asgrath, he's just really got no tools left. Not too much mana. Big Divine Toll lands, the follow-up DR stun, and there's just nothing really that Asgrath can do. Too many interrupts for him to deal with. There was a nice intimidating shot there by Blizzo that almost saved Asgrath, but wasn't enough to keep Mercy out of the game, and he was able to close it out.
All right, well, look at Reload Esports. Pretty good series for them, especially facing off against skill-capped EU. This is a very difficult team to face against, and here they are on match point with these guys, only 1 game away from sending these guys down to the lower bracket. Which is that somewhere they've been this year in Shadowlands?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think they eventually. Eventually.
It was actually never. It was Olden Strikes. I think it was Olden Strikes that sent Skill Cap EU to the lower bracket in Cup 1, I do believe. So Yeah.
Either way here, we've got two pretty evenly matched teams right now, 2-2. So we will be going to a game number 5. However, I'm curious to see D Machine if these guys, Skullcap DU, decides to swap off this composition or not.
I would imagine they would. I mean, I'm imagining that this warrior mage composition, like Elliot was saying earlier, is their blind pick. It's their composition that they think will do the best overall against all the options of their opponent. Is the TLDR of that. And now that we're going into game 5. And they have that loser's advantage. I can't imagine that they're going to lock in, that blind pick composition when they have things that could really, really, really punish this composition like warrior ret paladin. I want to see the elemental shaman come back out personally, depending on the map that they end up choosing. I also think that it was peculiar. I noticed that Asgrath, he was running concentration aura. And don't get me wrong, it's freaking awesome, but it didn't seem like Maro was able to really peel off these warriors from his paladin. And maybe it would be better if he was just devotion aura all game, get that damage reduction, and then his aura mastery would increase his damage reduction by another 15%. Could just be another button that he could rely on to just kind of negate some of that onslaught, because it's just all game long. It's him. And Maro, I mean, he's trying to get full value out of not being the target. It just doesn't seem to work. So yeah, I would like to see some adaptation, at least in regards to the healer, if they stay with the same compositions. But like I said, I'm imagining the elemental shaman's going to come back out. But what big maps do we have left? I don't even know.
Empyrean Domain. We got
Oh.
Fall.
You guys got your sunglasses ready?
Yep, somewhere.
Nice.
I kind of think Reload Esports should blind lock Shadow Priest lock if it's a big map. Just see if it
I'd like to
works
see that
after the changes and try the matchup, because I mean, while they came close against Ellie Mage's Ret Warrior, I would rather see a different matchup, and then maybe they've got something that they can rely on. No, they're gonna go with the same. So I would imagine Z-Pi, just the ringer, just sitting there. He's probably patting Mystic on the back after he locked in Ret, like, yep, this is happening. Ashamane's Fall, I'm Elemental.
Oh gosh.
This is over.
Are they?
This
Do
is a
we know
big
if they're
deal,
like
though. This is
literally
match
in the
point.
same room, or are they just in
They're
the
pretty
same?
close,
No.
I'm pretty sure.
If you watch their streams, you can kind of hear. You can hear, like, when Brian Mystic yells out to Z-Pi, you can hear that it's pretty far away.
Okay.
And-
All right. At least they're not in the same room. That would be really cheesy.
We
Could you
have,
imagine?
Just, like, punch
they,
him.
Look behind him and see what they're locking in.
we have a fun little fact here about Z-Pi as well. His name actually came from a random name generator, allegedly. And the name was Sheep Eye. So he changed the S to a Z and removed the H, and that's how he got Z-Pi. So there you go.
All right.
I like
That's
that.
basically
Is a
his at that
randomly
point. I mean,
generated name?
I don't know.
yeah, of course. It's
There's
random
some
names.
players that
Random
that
Allegedly.
stuck with their
We
first
don't have
generated
confirmation
name.
yet, but this is the alleged story.
Okay.
I like that
Makes
story.
sense.
I'd
I
like
like
to know
I
who
like those
made
stories.
the random names in the random name generator. Like, how many names did they have to make, and who made all the names?
They probably
Probably
didn't
an
like make
algorithm
the
or something.
names. They probably just
think it
like
was an
string
algorithm.
together vowels
Yeah.
and stuff, right? Or did somebody
Really?
sit
What
there
are
and
we
You
make
think
talking
it's automated? You think there's no one behind the curtain that
Yeah,
made
I
all
think
those
it's
names?
automated. I don't think somebody
To a
gets
certain
paid to make
extent,
up
man.
names all day.
There it is.
What?
I think
Someone
I-
definitely does. There's all the characters in the game are made up names. Someone
Yeah.
definitely
Well, those are
gets
different.
paid
That's
to make
different
up
though.
names.
Those are like lore names. The generator's just I don't know.
The
This
names
is-
of the
this is-
players matter more though.
Dude, Supatiz is unmatched at being able to create arguments over the stupidest stuff.
That's kind of true. That's
You're
kinda
actually
true.
rank one at that. Like, I don't
in
even
the middle
remember
of a
what we were
broadcast
talking
too,
about.
and we should be talking about this map, but here we are wondering if
It's not
somebody's
as
job
big as
at Blizzard
Tolvaron.
to make up names. Oh, okay.
Supatiz,
All right.
I'm gonna ask around. I'm gonna get you an answer.
Yeah, I'm curious. Ask who does the generated name, the name generator, not the
Someone
like
came up with
NPCs,
it. I'm gonna sit on this
but
one.
the player
Someone came
ones.
up with those names. I don't think it was.
I think someone came up
AI.
with it and then they put it into a bank that randomly
Damn.
selects.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
man.
Yep.
Yeah,
I think so
We'd
too.
like to know on the desk, but let's talk about this
Can we get some
matchup here.
predictions on Z-Pi's name real quick? or- I'm sorry.
Right. It's okay. Okay, so we're going to be going to Ashamin's Fall here, game at number 5. We're seeing both of these compositions now. I'm just going to give this to anyone that wants to answer since we've gone a little bit off the rails here. Who do we think wins this game based on these compositions into this map?
I'll go first. Skill cap.
Okay.
That's my answer.
Yeah.
Without saying it, what's your answer? Without actually saying it, what's your answer?
I think they did already.
I don't know.
Shibai. Well, I guess it's saying it.
Yeah, you're literally saying it. What do you mean?
You're literally
Cheater!
Without saying it, who do you think is going to win? Skill cap to you. Like what?
Oh, God. David doesn't do directions very well,
dude.
All right, well, we're going to see here who we think is going to win this game. Let's hear your answer in chat as well for game number 5, Reload Esports versus Skill Cap EU. Winner moves on in the upper bracket.
Okay. I don't even know who's going right now. I'm going to start. I love these views. Yeah. Shout out to the observers. Love you guys. Here we go. It is a much more open map than most, but it isn't as big as Tolvaron. Is it? I feel like it's not. But we'll wait and see. I hope they go on Asgrath, and I hope they never get off them.
What is this mount? I've never seen the blue dragon.
What? I don't know, man. Oh, now it's not blue anymore. What?
Yeah, wait. Don't flame string the dragon. It doesn't look as good.
It's looking pretty good.
We're starting on Zeepai. Oh yeah, they found out that Zeepai just actually gets chunked last time, but we forgot about that. Or at least I did.
So what Zeepai really wants to do in this match is basically whoever. This is how the matchup works. Whoever's being targeted by Mercy and Mystic, they just drag away from Lone Tar. That's your job. Just run away from Lone Tar, get freedom, don't allow them to purge it, and that's when you really set up for your team. In this position, both Zeepai and Maro are just going to be fishing for damage, fishing for crowd control. If they can burst someone down, great. But look at Zeepai. The second Mystic leaves the pillar, he's just a straight line away. Double Dragon's Breath actually does land. A full sheep. This could be the Kabasha. This could easily be the Divine Shield, and it is. And that's the problem. Mystic, he, gets a little bit greedy, leaves the pillar just for a second, and there's a Dragon's Breath sheep for Lone Tar. There's a Lightning Lasso for Mystic, and there's no more Divine Shield. And that was his Gladiator's Medallion as well, so Reload Esports falling apart early on.
How dare he leave the pillar? I hope he thinks about what he's done. But for real, he's going to be terrified. I mean, especially when you're working with the Restoration Shaman, you do have a lot of disruption. You have the grounding totems to stop that CC chain. But one thing that you don't have is like your positioning matters a lot more because you need to get those links off. You need to get those ascendances off. Wall's going to be committed by Mystic as well. Double DB from Maru, and Skill Cap just have complete control of this game. Lasso on to Mystic. Lone Tar out of line of sight for now. There's the full Hodge to follow it up. Mystic got down to half health. No bubble available to him, and he's just committing all of his holy power to healing through that entire go. And when you're committing your holy power there, you ain't committing it to damage, and you're not catching that momentum. They're trying to do that now. They're hitting Maru. They pummel him up, but Maru's completely fine, and Asgrath has buttons for days to deal with this.
Yeah, I'm not comfortable as the Reload Esports at this point. They go for a Divine Toll, try and take out Zeepai, but I think prior to dampening, it's maybe unlikely. They're still hovering at about 80%. Asgrath should be able to easily drink on this map as well. This is going to be the second most difficult map of the series. Lone Tar has to Trinket Link. He gets stunned on his Trinket. Oh, no! And barely survives. That Sanctuary comes in clutch from Mystic. I think that they need to stay at the pillar, just wait for dampening, playing prior to dampening for them. I don't think they have enough momentum to get through all of the healing to find a kill. They're just going to trade cooldown after cooldown to effectively accomplish nothing. So just avoid the fight until deep dampening and then live on a prayer, basically, at that point. They're just line of sighting. Maro on the left. Zeepai's trying to help out. They blast Mystic a little bit. Maro blinks in aggressive. Snipes out that Earthbind totem. Lands a double Dragon's Breath. Mercy intercepts with a Stormbolt. Mystic's on the run with freedom. Line of sighting for his life. Mercy lands a double Fear to peel for his team. And Mercy is just playing goalie for the Paladin. Like, you are not killing my Paladin. Just blocking every hit. Now they swap to the Warrior out in midfield. Asgrath lobbing in the Judgment, but Lone Tar and Mystic are healing him at the pillar. Mercy retreats back with the Door of Shadows. Looks like Skill Cap EU want to push up on top of their pillar and not play as passively as they did on Tolvaron. Maybe not. Maybe they're just going to pull back and chill out, wait for some dampening. before pushing forward for the kill. Mystic in a Ring of Frost hits 2 players. Hammer on Lontar, but Sanctuary saves him from the stun. Mystic trades Vengeance for the hits, but Combustion is coming up pretty soon. He won't have that to soak it. There's no Divine Shield. There's no Spirit Link Totem. There's also no Trinket on Mercy. There's a lot of options right now for skill capped EU. They could easily close the game out any moment here.
Yeah, certainly, and we'll have to see how Mystic does respond. I want him to play safe for at least another couple of seconds. It looks like Divine Shield will be rotating back up. And now Reload Esports is going to be feeling a lot more confident. Lontar has his Gladiator's Medallion. Maro potentially finding a full Polymorph. It's a Hex. Unfortunately, it was the Polymorph and a Hex on Mercy. Nobody got the crowd control on Lontar. I'm not sure what happened there, but there was a Dragon's Breath. No follow-up crowd control. Maro potentially looking for a Polymorph. Maybe just miscommunication there by the side of Skill Capped EU. But now they're looking to really punish Maro in this matchup for maybe overextending. He's traded out his Gladiator's Medallion. He's going to be using a Soul Shape to try to get away. Here it is. Full Polymorph does land. Big Combustion here on Mercy. Mercy has to be careful. He trades out the Die by the Sword, but that's a huge hit of damage coming in from the side of Skill Capped EU. The Reload Esports, once again, they are not feeling comfortable. That was the Gladiator's Medallion from Lontar, as well as basically everything Mercy has available. Now he's a really vulnerable target moving forward.
I think he would have just died if Mystic didn't sank him out of that stun. That was terrifying. But Maro continuing to be the kill target for now. Going to catch that Blessing of Protection. Lontar caught in a full poly. Can't purge it off. Mercy is scared, man. He's trying to line of sight. Mystic trying to help his buddy out with some flash of lights behind the pillar, but Zeepai wants to stay aggressive. I love how they always have that Ring of Frost to run back to and to just kind of kite away every single time. Maro always constantly providing as much utility to his team as humanly possible. And that situation you were talking about earlier, Sid, where like they had nothing and they very easily could have kept that momentum in their favor. Well, Reload Esports has done it. They have Bubble back. They have Link back. They don't have Trinkets though, but I think they have enough to get aggressive yet again. But it looks like they're not choosing to do so. They're sitting on the pillar for now. And here we go. 5% dampening continues to stack up. And I can't help but feel like they're either waiting for a trinket or they're waiting for deeper dampening. Full Hodge goes out, and the Zeepai immediately dispelled from Asgrath. No cross CC available. And then Wall is going to be just kind of shoved by Lontar, respecting any sort of damage that goes on them, as well as Earthen Wall Totem. Avatar being popped by Mercy. Let's see what they get done onto Zeepai, kicking that Fleshcraft for now. And it looks like they're actually splitting the DPS here. Wall, Sanctuary used. This is Die by the Sword as well to react to the Combustion. Full Polymorph onto Lontar to follow it up. Do they have anything out of that? Mystic now taking a bunch of damage. He still has that bubble available to him, though. Is he going to have to use it? I don't think so yet. Combustion has finally faded for now, and it looks like Lontar has kept his team completely aggressive, and they're pushing in onto Maro. Now swapping over to the Zeepai, who is much closer, chunking him down to half. That's going to force the wall out of him. And every single time I think Reload Esports is out of the game, they find win conditions just out of nowhere.
Zeepai is definitely the target. You don't have to get through all those blazing barriers. I also think that the mage is less threatening without cooldowns than the elemental shaman, but as I say that, Maro gets a full polymorph and Mystic has to divine shield outside of a cooldown window. That's what happens in dampening when healing starts to get reduced, and they're trying to get aggressive. Is it too early though? Is it too soon, Executus, for Reload Esports to start pushing forward on the elemental shaman mage? It wasn't, I think, until 50% dampening that we saw them really get any momentum, so this is almost 40% earlier. Crowd control across the board here. Mystic is isolated. Who's going to trade? Someone needs to make a trade. He's on 10%. Lontar decides to make the call. Spirit Link Totem for the team, and now they need to get aggressive with that trade. Chase down the Shaman. Asgrath responding, activating his Avenging Wrath. It's going to be a lot of healing. They're polymorphing the Ret Paladin. Get control, get Zeepai away. This is the Ghost Wolf, a race car, basically. Zeepai is going to go around the outside of the map as much as possible, away from the melee DPS, while his mage just spams out sheep. Mystic gets blasted whenever he gets pulled out in the open. Line of sighting the Combustion. Good line of sighting here. Maro wastes his Frost Nova into a Blessing of Freedom. Not the best timing there. And now trying to switch to Mystic for a moment. Zeepai gets connected to. Zeepai needs some help here. If all three members are able to hit him, it's going to be a lot of damage. He's down to 80%, back to full, down to 80, back to full, down to 80, back to full, down to 80. Just ping-ponging back and forth at this point. Mana even between the healers here, but cooldowns are definitely in shambles for Reload Esports at the moment.
Yeah, really not too much left for them to work with. 21% dampening. All we need to see from Skill Capped EU is one clean setup if Morrow can reset his combustion. But right now, they're not really allowing him to. Can't really get too many fireballs off. One does land. We'll see how many more he can really find. Still about a minute away at this point, but they have a huge window of opportunity. Mystic, no Trinket, no Divine Shield, 2 minutes. Lone Tar, about 35 seconds left on his Gladiator's Medallion. If he can reset his combustion, just a little bit, just needs a few more fireballs, he can pull ahead of Lone Tar, and they could try to make something happen. Potentially looking for crowd control. Blessing and Protection on the Stormbolt, but that was beautifully done there. Mercy buys time, even though the Blessing and Protection comes out. Lone Tar able to get out of line of sight. And now they have a little bit more time here for Lone Tar's Gladiator's Medallion to rotate back up. They really need that kind of safety net if they want to make any sort of offensive play. And that's what Reload Esports is really stalling for at this point.
Yep, they're going back into stall mode, as we were talking about earlier, waiting for those cooldowns to come up. But here we go. Avatar Wings, huge damage being committed. Stormbolt onto Zeepai. He gets chunked down to half. Asgraf is going to respect it with the sacrifice and Wings. Wall from Zeepai as well. And they know what this team's burst is capable of. But let's see what they can do with it. Zeepai just doing a great job continuing to kite in that Ghost Wolf form whenever he can, and just forcing this double melee out in the complete open. DR Ring of Frost lands on the Lone Tar, full on the Mystic. Great cross CC. Mercy continuing to press forward and get damage done on the Zeepai, but Zeepai is going to go ahead and get that Stormkeeper going, so big damage is incoming very soon, and they got to be careful about that. Still no Spirit Link available, but Mystic might have to trade his bubble if things get a little too hairy. Bop going to get committed from Asgraf onto Zeepai, keeping him nice and healthy for now. And I can't help but feel like Reload Esports is sort of playing Skill Cap's game.
Yep, that deep dampening wizard strategy. Their mana is actually not looking good. The Shaman dramatically behind. They still have Divine Shield though, and Spirit Link just came off cooldown, so they're actually ahead on cooldowns. And they're getting to that point where they really started to get pressure, that 40-50% dampening mark. So as long as these cooldowns make effective trades, I think they may get that one opportunity, that shot in the dark, and that's all they need. Even if they just squeeze through, maybe there's 5 seconds out of this 15-minute game that they can win, but if they win in that 5 seconds, a win is a win.
Yeah.
So they're playing for that 5-second opening to try and find some burst damage. They swap to the Paladin, trying to create some opportunities here on the Asgarath, maybe make him panic, but I feel like Asgarath's more than ready to be attacked. He's literally been tunneled like 2 out of these 5 games for the entire duration. He doesn't even get shaken by that swap. Mercy gets bursted down to half now as well. Lone Tar and Polymorph to drop the Warband, and they're going after Morrow, so they're mixing it up, not chasing the Ellie Shaman. Double Fear. Where's the Tremor? They need a Tremor. Tremor is really late there. Morrow down at 30%. Stormbolted up on his Vulpin Blink. Hodge on Asgarath. Asgarath has to Divine Shield. Morrow, no ice block. He's very low. Sacrifice comes up in 3 seconds. Mercy is absolutely getting smacked by Zeepai. Who's going to fall first? Mercy makes a trade. Spirit Link drops. Cauterize available. Sacrifice trades. Cooldown after cooldown, but the pressure is not stopping. A full Hex. Mercy, it's a match point.
Oh,
will
my
fall.
gosh.
And they left Zeepai for just 10 seconds. He completely took that game into his own hands, executing crowd control and damage across the board. Skill Cap DU make it to Championship Sunday.
Beautifully
Unreal.
done by Skill Cap to you. I can't wait to see the replay. Honestly, there's a moment in the game where it just seemed like Morrow was just on the back foot. It was just falling further and further behind, but they just decided to pull the trigger with the combustion, with Zeepai's damage, and they completely turn around the pressure. Just a complete 180. And I mean, we'll see it here soon.
That was wonderful. I saw the kill opportunity that they identified.